You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Iloveatiya. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atiya, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Iloveatiya experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Iloveatiya experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Iloveatiya Experience podcast. Oh, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls. So this is just a little prerequisite before I go on with this episode. I know that this is being posted 2 days late. This is probably not going to really matter in November, so I don't know why I'm putting this in here, because you're not going to know when this was posted. But for those of you who watch this every other Sunday, thank you for your patience. I actually had to go out to a party on Sunday night. It was a day party. Well, not Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, and was out until I want to say like 3 a.m. Sunday night. But I decided to leave some room at the end of the episode because I knew, I literally felt it in my soul that I was going to have a story to tell y'all. So at the very end of this episode, you are going to hear about one of my craziest nights here living abroad thus far. And I'm going to give y'all the tea for real, but until then, just enjoy the episode, and then just know, stay around for the ending, because there's a crazy ass story about my life. Yo, I spoke this shit into existence. I literally put on Instagram, I said I want to do something stupid tonight, and guess what I did? Something stupid. All right, here's the episode. Enjoy. What's up, beautiful souls? Guess what? I'm so proud of myself. I sacrificed a nap to be able to make this episode, because what's crazy is I've had so many thoughts over the past couple of weeks, and I'm always like, oh, I can't wait to record my podcast and talk about this. And now I'm here, and I can't remember what any of those thoughts are, but thank God I have new thoughts, so I just can't wait. This episode is going to be all about dating, how I got gypped in the club the other night, and I don't know, let's just fucking talk about shit. So, letting go of stuff, some things that I'm growing through when it comes to just being an adult. My birthday's coming up next week, or in 2 weeks, so yeah, it's a lot to catch up on. First things first, let me tell y'all about my night last night, which is why I don't have a voice. Wait, I feel like I never asked y'all how you are. How are you doing? Let's do a check. How are you doing? All right, anyways. But seriously, like, pause it. Go back to that when I ask you how you're doing, and pause it and think, like, how are you doing? Or not. No time for homework. So I went to the club last night, and I was really proud of myself because I just wanted to be out. I just wanted to have some fun. And, I had no concrete plans, so I went out looking for food. I ended up walking back and forth down this, like, downtown strip. I literally walked past the same places, like, 2 times, and ended up going back to the original area that I knew that I should have went in the beginning. Got some like portobello tacos, which were okay. They were supposed to be barbecue portobello tacos, and they weren't, but it was fine. I was just kind of like spending money last night that I didn't necessarily want to spend, but it just was what it was. Like, I hadn't been out for a while, and I just deserved a good weekend, so I just treated myself. But what I didn't fucking appreciate was I went to this club, and y'all probably saw the video on TikTok or on Instagram, and when I got home tonight or last night, I realized that Shorty definitely charged me for like 4 drinks, and I only had 3, and then gave herself a 5% tip, which I gave her way more than 20% when I originally tipped her in cash. So it just all around, like, at first I was gonna go back tonight, and you know what? No. I was gonna go back tonight and be like, bitch, you gypped me. Like, you gypped me. But I'm not going to. You know why? Because I'm blessed. And I told myself that I'm no longer fighting battles when it comes to money, except for that one brand that stole my fucking content because it's on like Donkey Kong. Just know. I hope they listen to this because they be watching my story. They be on my jock on Instagram. So we'll get to that in a second. Oh, definitely got to get to that. But I still have to say that yeah, she definitely charged me basically an extra $7. Because all I got was a shot, and then I got 2 beers. And so the shot was supposed to be like 175 pesos. The 2 beers were supposed to be 75 each. How it ended up coming out to 485 pesos, I will never fucking know. But yeah, I had to really think to myself, like, who needs this money more? Her or me? Now, Shorty works in the club every single time that I'm at that club, she's there. Sometimes the club is empty. So do I want to block my abundance by going back and fighting for $7? Honestly, 2022 Atiya definitely would have. Even early 2023 Atiya might have. But I told myself I'm no longer fighting battles like this. So, yeah, girl, keep the $7. That's going to be your karma, honestly. Wish you the best. And I know that the universe is going to bless me in some magnificent way. Maybe somebody will pay for all of my drinks today. Maybe I'll get a 2-for-1 discount at another spot. Maybe I'll find $10 on the floor. I don't know. But something beautiful is going to happen because I let it go. Nothing ever comes, like, I can waste so much time fighting for something, or I can just move the fuck on and know that the universe literally is going to bless me. And I also want to get back to talking about how another company scammed me and stole my content. But before I do that, yeah, I just want to get back to the restaurant. Otherwise, I had a great night. I was really proud of myself. I got dressed up so beautifully. I finally wore this outfit that I've been wanting to wear for forever, but my nipples show when I wear the outfit. And I have a pair of pasties, but I don't know if they're reusable pasties. Can you reuse pasties? I don't know. So I have not worn this outfit. I have so many outfits that are like low-key see-through that I have not worn because I didn't want people to see my nipples. So last night I said, fuck it, we ball. I took out some Band-Aids like how I did when I was 13 years old. I'm going to talk about that in the episode with my mom. But I took out some Band-Aids, put them on my nipples. Probably not the healthiest thing to do. Not going to do that a lot. I do like my nipples to be able to breathe. But hey, fuck it. We were just doing some random shit last night. But the funniest fucking part of last night was that I had met this guy that I had actually met at another event. And he lives here as well. He's a black man. And he just has this, like, he just reminds me of somebody back home. Like, I don't know who he reminds me of, but like, I don't know how old he is, but he's just mad cool. And I feel like he's always peeping things that I peep, right? He's like the community cool, like, I don't even want to say uncle, but like, he's like just like the cool community guy that like people know. So he he was just making mad like funny comments about shit and about me, and was like recording me and stuff and sending me the videos, and was acting like, oh, I don't know, it was just mad funny, like, I don't know. So, and that part, you're probably like, bitch, this is not funny, but it's mad funny to me. So at the end of the night, right, I don't know why, but I was like, oh, he was like, yo, watch your top, because like my top was moving over a little bit. I was like, I really appreciate that. I said, I got Band-Aids on my nipples. And he was like, I know. I said, wow, you was just all up in my nipples like that? He was like, well, you're sitting real close to me so I can see them. And I was like, oh, wow, you can see them. He's like, well, only because you're close. I was like, damn, I wonder if anybody else can see them. And then at the end of the night, like, we went outside, right? And we were like, oh, what y'all about to do? They're about to go to the after hour spot. I'm like, I'm not going to the after hour spot. I was lying. I was like, I'm going. I wasn't going to go. So I ended up seeing the guy outside, right? And so I said something to him. I forgot what the fuck we were talking. I was like, I'm going to the after hour spot. He was like, no, you're not. And then I said, or he said something. I don't even remember what the conversation was. I wasn't even that lit, but apparently I was. I don't remember this conversation, but I do remember at the end he was like, all right, Band-Aids. I said, I was fucking weak. I literally cackled. I just thought that was a little funny story, but now that I say it, it doesn't sound as funny. But it's okay, because I'm still gonna live in my Delulu, because living Delulu is a Slulu. Let's fucking talk about that shit and how seriously I was taking life until this morning. Y'all, we are on a motherfucking rock, floating somewhere. Where are we? Like, what is the consensus? Because at one point somebody was like, oh, these 2 black women went out to space. All right. That's interesting. It sounds like a setup, but whatever. And then people are like, oh, wow, they're dumb for thinking that space exists. Oh, it was a consensus that space doesn't exist? So when I'm speaking to the universe, who am I speaking to? Because in my mind, the universe, when I really think about the universe, let's talk about this for a second. I'm not a religious person, I'm spiritual. So I think that, when I speak out to the world, I'm talking to my ancestors, I'm talking to my guardian angels, my spirit guides. And when I think of the universe, I think that I often do think of like a physical entity, but there's not necessarily a face to this entity. It's kind of just like some like cloud in the ether. And then I think that, wow, like the universe is gigantic. And I never thought that when I really think about it. Like, okay, I thought that, but now that I'm really saying it, I'm like, wow, the universe is so gigantic that when I put my stuff out there, it's really going out into like this big, I like the word ether, so I'm using that a lot, but this big ether of energy, like globally, outside of even the globe, through different planets, right? Stay with me, stay with me. We're getting to a point. So the fact that people are saying there's no space, I have to reconfigure what other possibilities could be, right? I'm not easily swayed, but I'm also not believing everything that the man tells us. Anyways, people were saying that space is actually, like, quote unquote space is actually in the ocean, which is why it's been so undiscovered, and why there are these other lands that have been discovered. Like, they have the under ocean jungles. Have you heard about that in China and shit? Like, it's just a lot happening on this earth. So for me, the conclusion is, for me to think that my fucking minuscule ass problems, and granted, my problems are pretty big. Like, I've been uncovering some real major childhood trauma. But for me to really dwell in the past, instead of living in the infinite possibilities of the future, granted, I needed to focus on that, and I still feel like I do need to uncover and discover and heal certain things so that I can just gain severe compassion for myself. But it was to the point where it was just so deep and such a heavy feeling, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the way that I felt yesterday, and I felt like I was on the verge of a slight depression, and that's not the energy that I want to have, And not to say that I feel like I can just fight off every depression. Sometimes depressions are needed so that you can just take deep rest, which is what Ralph Smart, I think his name is, or Ralph Short, told us, infinite waters diving deep. I don't know if y'all know of him, but he's a YouTuber, and he always says that in his videos. But yeah, he says that when you're depressed, it just means that you need deep rest. And so I take that into account when I feel like I'm having a bout or about to have a bout. But no, this just felt like I needed to get out of my head. So that's what I'm doing. I'm really trying to live Delulu, because that is the Solulu. And it's been great. So hence why, back to the girl who, tried to, I guess, jip me. And even at one point I was like, well, that's why I'm not going to tip her the next time and stuff. No, it's not that. I'm not going to punish people. What I will do is just walk up to the bar. She just won't be getting my tips. I will be giving my tips to the bartenders. I don't know if they split tips. Okay, that's great. But yeah, I just want to be in control of my own money. And also, I'm grateful because I could have got scammed out of a lot more. I could have lost my whole ass wallet last night. Somebody could have scammed my credit card. So, if a girl wants to steal $7 from me, girl, that's on you. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself for that growth. Speaking of growth, I cut my hair, and I don't know if anybody is following me on Instagram. If you're not, I recommend you do. My Instagram is iloveatiya, but I cut my hair. And when I tell you, I went to New York last week, and it was crazy. I should have counted, but I can say that I got at least, I'll say, 7 or 8 compliments as I was walking down the street, of people just like, yo, hey, beautiful. And granted, it's New York, and so I guess that's happened in my experience, but this wasn't like a grotesque kind of hitting on. This was they recognized my beauty and the confidence that I had, and feel like they couldn't come at me any specific kind of way. So they came at me in a really respectful way, and I just really appreciated it. I was just getting complimented up and down every single block that I went on. It was a compliment, and I'm really grateful for that. Granted, I felt great, so I'm not going based off of anybody else's compliments or validation, but I'm grateful that I mission accomplished of me being able to see my whole ass beauty with this haircut. Lord only knows how long I'll keep my hair short. It's gonna be at least a year, but yeah, I wanted to do it before my birthday, and I did, and I'm a woman of my word, and it was so liberating. I cut it, and then my mom helped me shape it up, and that's exactly how I wanted it to go. So yeah, I literally snipped off my braids. And just felt like I was releasing so much energy, so much trauma, so much just low vibration. I just felt like my hair was in such a low vibrational state. I dyed my hair, I want to say, at least 4 times bleached it at least 2 or 3 times, way too many times. So, I'm grateful that I still had a head of hair. Thank God for my hair care company that kept that hair on my head. But still, I just wanted to release a lot of things happened to me with this hair on my head. That was my hair from when I moved to Atlanta. That was my hair from when I was in my abusive relationship. That was my hair from when I was trying to have a hoe phase and was getting all these people's gunky ass energy on me. That was my hair for when I had to like quickly evacuate my property because people were breaking into the building and the apartments. Like shit like that in Atlanta was just a lot. So I'm grateful to have shed that and really just start a new chapter. Speaking of new chapters, I told y'all I was living delusionally. So no, we're living delusionally, but cause y'all, please help me. So I already told you I shot my shot at a guy that I had a crush on in January because I said I'm taking charge of my love life. Actually, let's give this part of the podcast a portion. Let's give this portion a name. This portion is going to be called Delulu in Dating Gone Wrong. All right. So I told y'all that I shot my shot at my crush via DM in January because, it was hard for me to find attraction to men. And this guy is just something about him. I'm really attracted to ambitious men, and just ambition in general just makes you so much more I still to this day want to have his babies, and I don't want to have kids, but I would have his kids and I would raise them really well. But yeah, he told me via DM that he had a girlfriend, and then I told you that he called me Tia. And I was like, don't fucking act like you are my friend and you can call me nicknames. You don't need me. I just want to suck your dick. So there was that, and I had to let it go. Still to this day, have not seen this girlfriend. Poor thing, if she is really in his life. Like, guys really don't be posting their girls. That's crazy. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't a lie. Oh, God, I'm just so mad. So then now it's August, right? So let's say late July. But the last month, I had really been peeping that this guy that I had a hidden crush on for a while, for like a really long time, had been looking at my Facebook story. And I don't even know what made me peep that. I never look at my Facebook story like views. I never care. I didn't even know that my Instagram was connected to that, right? So I got lit one night and was like, you know what, I'm just going to slide in his DM and just see, let me just try something. Well, first, I reached out to my cousin, and I was like, hey, cousin, can I have some advice? My guy cousin, how would you want a girl to slide in your DM? And he's like, honestly, it would have to be like through like a story, because like a comment on a story, because otherwise, like if a girl just slides in my DM, it just comes off as a little thirsty sometimes. And I appreciated his rawness, right? But I also didn't like that truth, because that's not the answer I wanted to hear. But I took it because it was great advice. But then Shorty didn't post a story on his Facebook story for like a week, and time was ticking. So I said, you know what, let's just go. So he finally posted a drink that he was drinking, and so I commented on it. And I was like, hey, I've been wanting to slide in your DMs for a little while now, and tonight felt like the perfect night. Why did he reply and was like, I'm flattered, LOL, thanks, love. But here we go with the names now, even though I know maybe he thinks my name is Love, but he was like, thanks, love. Because I'm just saying, like, it gives a nickname, but like, don't even address me. Like, if I slide in your DM, don't even address me. Don't call me Tia. Don't call me Atiya. Don't call me Love, because I take all those things personally. And I know that that's crazy. But I'm crazy sometimes. So he was like, I'm really flattered, but I have a girlfriend. What the fuck is up with y'all in these relationships? Relationships were so 2018 to 2020. That was the relationship guideline. We're not doing that shit no more. And it's the guys. Because why do all the girls I know are single, except for my main close friends. My 3 closest friends are actually all in relationships, but that's a different story. So that pissed me off. I was really upset, and I was like Kermit in the middle of the club on his typewriter on my phone, typing shit out to my friend, like, yo, this just happened. This is crazy. And then homeboy proceeded to continue to look at all of my stories of that night, which were drunk stories, and I probably also came off even more crazy. And then he said something like, LOL, sorry. And I was like, don't apologize. But you actually should apologize because you just missed the opportunity of a lifetime, my brother. But divine timing, I wished him well. I was like, I hope all works out with her. I don't even know what the fuck I said. I was just like, okay. I don't. I played it off more smooth than I did with the first guy in January. But I say all that to say that a part of my delusional plan is I'm not. I'm not. I'm not, y'all. I'm not. I'm not anymore. I'm not. No. Hear me now and hear me clear. I'm not going to slide into any more DMs. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm doing an August detox in general, all right? So far, we've failed at 2 of them, but it's okay. The first one is no social media. I did that for a good week. I'm proud of myself for that, but when I needed a distraction, I would download Instagram and go in the shade room. I would. It's my toxic trait. So I did that because I just needed a distraction from my reality. The next is no men. And I really do mean that one. I'm really not dating. I'm really not. No men. No men. No sliding in a man's DMs. No looking in a... I was about to lie. I'm going to look in a man's direction, but I'm going to a party later, so I can't make any promises. But I should commit to it, because if I say no men, then I'm going to go to this party that's going to be 6 feet 4 stallions all up in that bitch. I remember the other day, my mom was like, why are you still trying to date men? And she was like, sorry if that came across judgmental. And I was like, it did a little bit, but you're right. My friend, Tori, was like, why are you still trying to date men? And I'm like, because I'm crazy. Because I'm crazy. And I'm a glutton for pain. Anybody else? Anybody else? We're going to talk about sexuality in a second. But with that being said, no porn. No porn for my August detox. Gratefully, I got my P-Dog, my period, so we don't have to worry about that one anyway. And eat fruit every day. Have I done that? No. So we're going to start tomorrow when I feel like walking to the fruit stand. So that's my August detox. I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really excited about it. But when it comes to me dating women, I think I've expressed this before, but it's still something I'm working through. I think that there's an amount of commitment that dating a woman takes, and there's a speed and a trajectory. I don't know what it is. Let me know what you think it is. But there's a trajectory that happens to where dating women it's just so fast. It's just so fast. I don't know. I don't know. So it just seems like it progresses really quickly, and I'm not ready for that. Although what's ironic is that when I'm with a man, I date men like I would date a woman. Like I do progress pretty quickly. Like I'm really trying to have you call me baby by the second day. That is one thing that I do miss. I used to write myself love letters because I miss being called baby, babe. And that's honestly why I started calling everybody baby and babe and honey and love. I use a lot of terms of endearment, but yeah, it's because I miss that. And so I want to receive that. But it's really different when you're speaking as a friend to somebody like, hey babe, versus when you're speaking as, how do I put this? As a loving partner, like, oh, that's my, oh, come here, baby, or whatever. Like, I used to call my boyfriend baby all the time. So yeah, I just missed that. That was definitely a thing. I actually feel like I would overuse the word, but it didn't matter because I loved it. So yeah, I think that there's also this like sense of loneliness that I think I talked about in my last episode that I'd been battling. So that's why I've really tried to come to terms with my own personal thoughts of taking things so like personally, if that makes sense, in my love life. So the other day, I had therapy, and we're gonna turn into another segment now, I guess, called Tia's therapy update. But I had therapy, and we've been talking a lot about parental things and a lot about my childhood and childhood traumas and just uncovering certain things. My mom and I are really, really close. And I think that me being homeschooled, I was homeschooled from the 1st grade to the 12th grade. But me being homeschooled has led me to have a super codependent relationship with her. And then my dad and I, we had such a distance for a good period of my life, to where now that we are so close, probably I would say the closest that we've ever been my entire life, it just put a lot of things in perspective for me. And I think that there's been a light that's been shined on me and my mom's relationship since we moved to this new country together. And back in the day, I read this book. It's called The Forgiveness Book by Iyanla Vanzant. And it's basically where she has you write down certain forgiveness prompts for certain relationships that you have in your life. I think I did my dad. I think I did like past relationships. I think I even did forgiveness for myself. But when it got down to the part where I had to do forgiveness for my mom, and this was in 2016, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, me and my mom are great. We're perfect. I don't have anything. Like, you know, like I really made it seem like, or I felt like, God forbid there was ever anything that I needed to grow through when it came to me and my mom's journey together, because I just felt like everything was perfect in my mind, you know, like I didn't think there's anything to forgive her for. And so the shadow work that I've been doing lately, like I said, has just brought to my attention that there have been some things that I needed to grow through, and I'm grateful for her openness and transparency, because one thing that I've noticed is in my life I've attracted a lot of friends who have parental problems, specifically with their moms. And so that sometimes I would even cause a wedge in my friendship when they would see how positively me and my mom would relate. And so one thing that I noticed is that I was a really independent person when I moved to Atlanta. And when I moved to Atlanta, I lived there by myself for 2 years before my mom moved. And even like I helped my mom find an apartment. Like even when she left town, like I physically was going on tours, looking at apartments, and found her first apartment for her, but ended up I think there was a lesson that was supposed to be learned in that, because she didn't even end up really loving that apartment. Ended up being a lot for her to live there. And then I took on a lot of guilt when it came to her experience, her first year in Atlanta. And so that then became a pattern of me making decisions for her, or not even for her, but just like feeling like I had a hand in certain portions of her life, and then feeling guilty when that portion might not have worked itself out. Or it might have been a decision that she made, and I just felt guilt in regards to how it turned out. Because all in all, I just want my parents to live their best life possible. And again, like my friends also have had really young parents. That's always been a thing. The people that I've gotten along with the most have been people who have had parents my age, basically in their like 60s, but or late 50s, you know, whatever, when I was younger. But yeah, the people whose parents had them earlier, it was just a different dynamic between them. So it was a little bit hard to relate, but you know, like I still love their parents nonetheless, but it was just, we just don't have the same problems. We both have problems, but not the same problems. And like I said, guilt has definitely been something that I've struggled with for a while just in my life. And my mom always says guilt is such a low vibrational vibration and feeling and emotion and thing to experience. So feeling that regarding my mom, even after certain instances, like I would go over to her house and say that we had a great day together, but I would go home and then I would feel this guilt, like, oh, was I impatient with her, or did I not speak to her kindly in this one fucking moment out of 259 kind moments, you know, things like that, and really just not letting myself off the hook, which is why I said I want to talk about like letting go in this episode. And I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. You know, I saw an episode or a YouTube video one time of a girl, and she was a Virgo, and she talked about this very transparently, and it was very healing for me. So I feel like if I could just talk about this transparently, that'll be really helpful. And I think sometimes I think, oh, people who know my mom might listen to this, or you know, people who know me and my mom's relationship. And like, right, I'm not demonizing anyone or anything. I think that it's just beautiful and scary to be able to see my mom now as a human being, you know? And it was really scary because I wasn't allowing myself to accept my own humanness. And so I remember when we first moved out of the country, and I feel like I should just say where the fuck I live, because this is supposed to be my safe space. I've said it in other episodes, so it's like if you're stalking me, you should know by now. You should really just listen to the fucking context clues. I've said it. But anyways, I'm sorting through that, and I'll figure that out in therapy. I don't know. But when we first moved out of the country, I remember my mom and I were really at odds, and that was really weird for us. And that's how I knew that both of our energies were off, because if anything, we knew that we always had each other on this planet, you know, like when it felt like everybody was against us, we felt like we always had each other. So for us to not have each other in those moments just felt tough. And I remember we went down to the pool and we wrote each other letters, and that was really helpful. My letter was like 7 fucking pages, and I was like, oh, wow, that was a lot that I had to get off my chest. But again, this was years and years and years and years and years of things that I had been carrying that I didn't realize that I was carrying. But I remember before we had this talk by the pool, she said something like, I just need you to give me grace, and that's all I need is just grace to be able to grow through these experiences. And it really hit me. And the biggest epiphany that came from that was I couldn't give her grace because I couldn't give myself grace. So I had to start at square one and really practice giving myself grace. And again, letting myself off of the hook. And I went to this goddess ceremony when I first moved here. It was like a goddess retreat. And we had to pull tarot cards or oracle cards on the last day. And the oracle card I pulled was for forgiveness. And the very last thing it said was, let yourself off the hook. And it was about self-forgiveness and also forgiveness of others. So I realized that that's been my thing of this year. I've tried to make it be my thing for other years. Every year I have a thing. I tried to make it be my thing for other years, and it just wasn't working out because there was just so much to forgive. So, anyways, I say all that to say that in this last therapy session, my therapist said, "Would you ever? What? Let's reframe guilt and ways that we think that guilt can actually define ourselves." She said, and I quote, "Guilt doesn't have to be this terrible monster that is out to hijack your peace." And when she said that, I literally saw guilt in my head. It almost looked like an IUD, but it was actually like kind of square and thick, like a blue. It was like blue, and then it had two like legs on the bottom. I don't know, but I saw it like walking through a town, destroying everything, and like a monster, like trying to hijack, like trying to find me and hijack my sense of peace. And so that was really, really helpful, and I hope that that can help somebody else. And then she also said, let's reframe guilt to think of it as something to where maybe you feel guilt because you care so much. Guilt comes from you just being so caring. And I was like, oh shit. So guilt doesn't have to mean that I'm a bitch? Like, guilt doesn't have to mean that I'm a bad person? Guilt can mean that I just cared so much about this thing that it just felt so heavy? But it doesn't have to feel so heavy, because when you care about something, it doesn't have to feel heavy. And then that takes me to another thought, because it makes me think about my relationships and how my fear of abandonment and my fear of engulfment, I'm scared to care about something because caring about things has always felt like such a heavy thing to me. And so if I care about something and then it abandons me, that's just more heaviness. And if something cares about me so much that it becomes engulfed in me, that's scary too. Y'all, look at us having fucking epiphanies on this goddamn podcast. Because my session was only an hour, so we were only able to touch on but so many things. But oh my God. So yeah, that was really, 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 really eye-opening to me to be able to realize that. So thank you all for being there for me with this experience of learning about caring. And now I almost want to test myself to see how many things can I care about, but at the same time, I want to be carefree. So I think that the real thing for me to do is to learn how to care without it feeling heavy. How can I care and release it? How can I care about the people I'm around, care about myself, but then release that heaviness that I feel sometimes when I care? Because to me, care equates with responsibility. It goes with oh, what does care go with? I think maybe even caring goes with perfection. Because when I tell people certain things, which I'm going to lead into my next story from therapy, when I tell people certain things and I expect them to have the perfect response, forgetting that we are all human and we don't know how to have the perfect response, to me, if I care about somebody and then they confide in me and then they say something and then I don't have the perfect response, then I feel guilt about it, and that's the correlation. If I've talked to somebody who I think cares about me and I confide in them about something or share something really deep that happened and they don't have the perfect response, I then think, do they care? So yeah, it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of pressure. So reframing my idea of care and reframing my idea of guilt and reframing my relationship with the both of them, I think is going to be so, so, so helpful for me. And I'm really grateful for that. With that being said, another thing that I talked about in therapy was my independence, because as I was saying before, I moved to Atlanta, and then 2 years later, my mom moved to Atlanta. And then we had a pretty separate life. But I was working with her at one point, and then I stopped working with her because I felt like I once again wasn't really having my independence. I wasn't really able to live the life that I necessarily wanted to live, like as freely as I wanted to live it. So I stopped that, and I felt guilt about it. I felt like I had kind of abandoned her. Um, and then there was another time where I was with my boyfriend, and that was I was isolated from the world. So me and her were not as communicative as we normally were. And then there was another time where then I moved in with her because of the whole people breaking into apartments in my complex thing on my floor. I told y'all about that in another episode. But yeah, so that's where I feel like I really lost my independence. And even then, towards the end of me living there, we had talks like, okay, I don't always have to come upstairs and tell you when I'm leaving. And that would, like I was just doing that just because, but it wasn't necessary. And she didn't feel like it was necessary because I was 27 at the time. So I didn't have to alert her when I got home. I didn't have to tell her when I was leaving. I didn't have to I didn't always have to cook for her when I was cooking. She didn't always have to cook for me when she was cooking. But I think that because we care so much, I think that we also put a little bit of obligation in there as well. I think it's also different because it's a mother daughter relationship versus a daughter mother relationship, right? So when my mom cooks, she wants to give me some food because she's just a caring person and wants to nurture her daughter. When I cook, I might have been low on groceries and had to scrap up a couple of things, but because my mom sacrificed, I feel like I want to sacrifice and give you half of my food that I made. It's not like she asked for it. I know that we talk a lot about gaining weight and stuff like that. So, I'm like, well, if I cook, I can help her gain weight by sharing some of my food, right? But I'm also slightly losing weight because I just gave her some of my food. But she also gave me some of her food, so I have food too. But like, it's just that kind of intertwinement. So there was even another thing in therapy where my therapist, I feel like I'm sharing so much, so maybe I won't share this aspect. But just trying to live from a place of genuine generosity and genuine care versus feeling like my mom did this for me, so I have to do this for her. Because when I talked to my mom about that, she brought to my attention that and we could talk about this on me and hers episode, which is coming up next week, surprise. But we talked about how I witnessed a lot of transaction in her relationship with my dad. It was a lot of transactional things that went on between them. Like quid pro quo. My dad literally taught me about quid pro quo. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. There's nothing wrong with it. And I don't think that their relationship was all transactional. But she said they've had talks about that in the past about like what that looked like in their relationship. So the fact that I grew up around that and didn't even realize that I had perceived that as a thing until I became an adult and then became that way, which is why I've been doing a lot of inner child work and a lot of childhood work. Yeah, it was just really eye-opening for me. So I think that breaking that generational, I don't want to call it a curse, but just generational learning is something that's going to be very helpful for me in finding my own independence. Even like going out more. I've been going out more. My mom is a little bit more of a homebody. I fucking love being home. I truly do. But I think that I also love being out and I also love receiving energy. I think that that's one of the reasons I love going out. And I want to talk about friendships after this. But I love an even energy exchange. And I feel like when I go out and can get a little lit and a little bit out of my body, I have such a good time. I also love that I've proved to myself that I can have great sober nights. And that makes my heart really happy too. Because some of the best nights I've had have also been of me being completely sober. So I think I sometimes just have to prove that to myself and then I can get lit and get lit responsibly. And I think that that's totally okay. Which is why, like I said, when I got overcharged the other night, I'm like, okay, I'm grateful for the lesson because now I know to always check my bills before I pay them. They know we're drunk. So they know that they can add a little extra something and get what they want. Whatever. So, anyways, I'm going to forgive her at some point. I really will, the girl at the bar. But transactional, all that good stuff. Long story short, I'm really grateful. My mom and I, we had another great talk by the pool the other day, and I was able to just express certain things. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to have like a mom who's in a space to be able to listen and hear me. But like I said, it's just so weird being an adult and being at that age of adulthood where you see your parents being human. And I think that if I could give like advice to any young of my younger listeners out there, because I know y'all are listening, is to understand early that your parents are human. And the more that you can understand that, the earlier you can understand that, the better. Because when you think about the decisions that we make as people and as young people, and then think about the decisions that we'll make in 10 years from now and then 20 years from now, Not like, yes, things change, maturity wise, we change, but it's not like our parents have lived this life before in this body, at least. You know, if you believe in reincarnation, then yeah, I feel like I've lived this life a couple of times, but it's not like we take the lessons with us. So sometimes I feel like I've just been a little bit unfair when it comes to how much I expect my parents to get perfect, and then once again to have this idea of perfection in my mind, when what's actually perfect is everything that's happening right now. That's what's perfect. And I think that just the more that we can express, if anything hurts our feelings, that's different. You know, we can express that because we are still learning each other as parents and as children. But when it comes to just like life decisions and stuff like that, I'm a Virgo and I like to curate, but I can't curate and control what somebody's experiences in life, you know? So yeah, that's been really eye opening. I think even making this episode has been really helpful for me to understand that. So if you have any things that you're going through with your parents, or you're just growing through watching them be human, just know you're not alone. We're at that age now where our parents no longer have to put up that facade that they have everything together. I don't think my parents ever really did try to put up that facade. I think I was actually exposed to a lot when I was younger, which is something I talked about in therapy, which a majority of us were. But yeah, it's like just trying to figure that out and heal that before we become this next generation of people with another generation underneath us, you know, of kids or whatever the case may be. And I just want to learn as much as I can from everybody around me. I hope that makes sense. Speaking of the people around me, let's talk about support and friendships. So lately, I've been feeling in my bones, and I don't know if has anybody else been feeling like this, of like I mentioned earlier, this sense of loneliness, right? And I'm like, why do I feel lonely when I have friends? I have three really close friends at this moment that I feel like I can confide in and trust. But I think that the shift is that, like I said, first of all three of them are in relationships. So that's already a different dynamic. When I was in a relationship, I was a different kind of friend than when I was not in a relationship. It's just different. You know, the boyfriend is there or the girlfriend is there in the same room or whatever the case may be. It's happened to literally all three of my friends. This is not me coming at anybody. It's just happened. My friends live with their partners except for one. Um, so there's that. That's a thing, you know, but just like privacy is different. Hangouts are different. You know, situations where it might have just been me and my friend, their boyfriend or girlfriend might want to tag along. And it's like, okay, that's fine. I can't control these things, you know, and so I'm just gonna accept the moment. And when I say that, it sounds like, oh, like they just be bringing their partners along, but no, not all the time. I think that sometimes their partners will hear how much fun me and my friend, aka their partner, have, whether it be on the phone or just their friend might speak highly of me or whatever the case may be. And it gives like, oh, we can all have a great time together. You know what I'm saying? So I've just had friends who have had moments where we were supposed to hang out and then their partner will come along too. And or they'll ask if their partner can come along. Or their partner will just ask if they can come along. And to me, the hardest one is when their partner asks if they can come along. Because then I feel like then it's your place as a friend to say no. It's not my place as a friend to say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your boo. Like, but I also have had to tell my friends, like, no, I just actually want it to be a me and you kind of thing. So if you can let your partner know that it's just going to be a us hangout, then that'll be great. And I'm really proud of myself for that, for flexing my throat chakra in that way. But like I said, I can't curate these moments all the time. I can't tell people, don't bring so and so. Like, that sounds fucked up. And I don't have a problem with their partner. It's just, I've literally, like, have y'all ever hung out with somebody and they've been around their boo and it's just different? Like, I know me, it's just human nature, and when you're in the relationship you don't see it. People told me that all the time when I was in my relationship with my man. I didn't see it until I was out of it and realized, oh wow, I really do. Like, you have to give your partner more attention and stuff like that and be more attentive to them. It's just different. So, and for the record, again, this has happened with all of my friends that have been in relationships, from the friendships that I have now, the one that's married, the one that's with her boyfriend, the other one that's with her boyfriend, my two close friends in the relationship, to the ones that I've had when I was younger. It's always been a thing. So I think that just navigating that and being the single friend and trying to just go with the flow more, because like I said, I used to be a lot more controlling, has been really helpful for having healthier friendships. Then also when I just need my alone time, being able to just express that, like, I just want to have me and you bonding time. I think that that's been really, really healthy, and I'm really grateful for that. And I've been able to have some really, really healthy conversations with my friends about just boundaries in general. And I feel like their partners have also respected that. So I'm just grateful for that all around, honestly. It also just makes me think about relationships in general, and makes me want to do like a study into that, into dynamics of how things change once you're in a relationship, dynamics of how things change in friendships, dynamics of how things change when you meet your friend single and they get in a relationship versus when you meet somebody and they're already in a relationship versus when you meet somebody and they're dating somebody already. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's just, what is it in a relationship that as a partner you find the balance between being yourself but then also being, okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to put this. There's no way for somebody to be the same in their relationship as they are as a friend. Those are two totally different dynamics, right? But like, what is the shift? Do we become more maternal when we're in relationships, so we feel the need to take care of our partners, which is why there's like a shift in tone and communication and energy? Or do y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking about my own relationship, and I'm like, it was very, very, very hard for me to be the me that I am when I'm out with my friends versus be the me that I am when I'm out with my partner. Now, granted, my relationship was toxic, was fucking unhealthy, so that's a different situation. But even for the people in healthy relationships, what is that? And because I know they're not meeting these people as their representatives, they're literally being themselves, but it's like they're being another side of themselves. And I'm another side of myself and I'm in a relationship, but what is that side? And I can only get to that side when I'm in a relationship. I don't know how, or when I'm talking to somebody, even like when I'm romantic with somebody. Please tell me you get it. If you're in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, let's have this discussion. Like, do you see what I'm talking about? And maybe this is helpful for people who have been in a relationship and then out of a relationship, and you can see it a little bit better versus when you're in a long-term relationship, or I don't know, I don't know. Help me out with this, because I feel like I'm touching on something, but I can't get to what I'm touching. I can't figure out what I'm trying to, but I think I also verbalized it just now, so we'll see. But I say all that to say that even I've had moments where like I've been out with my friends and like say if they get a text from their partner and like I'll be sharing a story and then they'll literally like stop listening to the story and like read a text from their partner, or they'll get a phone call from their partner. That's a thing as well. Like whenever their partner knows that they're out with me, like they'll get a phone call. I don't know. I talked to my friend about that one time. Like, why does your partner feel the need to always call you when we're out together? And I also understand like I can't control that, like y'all are literally in a whole relationship. So, but like, especially if we only see each other like one time every 6 months. So trying to figure out what that is. But I think that one thing that had made me feel just in past instances is just like a little bit unheard. And so I realized like that's one of the things that I feel like I'm missing in my life right now. I feel like listening is not a very easy thing. And I've noticed it within myself, especially with having like a mild form of ADHD and then also having other neurodivergent friends. We all very much so have expressed that this is hard. Like focusing is hard, listening can be hard. This is not any demonization of that, because I experienced the same thing. I remember one time I told my mom like sometimes it's very hard for me to listen. And I know that feels fucked up on the other end. So it's like, okay, if we are neurodivergent, how do we go about accepting ourselves in that way, accepting our neurodivergent friends in that way, but then also accepting our feelings of feeling unheard? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And I think that there are also times where, as a neurodivergent, we can be hyper focused. We can be very fucking focused and in the moment, be very incredible listeners. So I think, like, for instance, for me and my friend, we've learned that, like, for me, FaceTime isn't the best because I don't always feel heard. And I've expressed that to her. And so voice notes are great because we're able to focus on what we're listening to and then like write notes and stuff like that, and that works best for us. And then in person it's a little bit hard because we don't see each other as much, so we haven't necessarily figured that out, especially like I said, because we're both neurodivergent in the way of like ADHD and like not being able to necessarily focus as much as we'd like to. Like it's not something that we do on purpose. So that's why when it comes to feeling heard and unheard, it's not something that when you have neurodivergence or when you have a neurodivergent friend that you can take personally. I think there's a difference between respecting the feeling that you feel, but then also taking something personally because it's not like somebody's doing something to like literally hurt your feelings or to make you feel away, you know? We can't control our neurodivergence. So, yeah, I think that navigating that has been really interesting, but I just think that in general, there's just been, even just despite like just neurodivergence, there's just been a sense of me not feeling necessarily heard. And I think that's because there's been a majority of people in my life who have been going through the same, like, who have been going through different things at the same time. So, like, I have a friend who's been going through something for the last couple of months, and I don't necessarily feel like it's a time for me to say like, hey, can I vent to you about this? Even though I know that, healthy relationships, you should be able to vent back and forth, but I think also in healthy relationships you should be able to know when somebody can have the capacity and when somebody doesn't, and to just be able to focus on that person at that time. I think that that's okay as well. And then I have another friend who I also know is going through it, and she takes isolation breaks. I take isolation breaks. We literally take turns taking breaks, and I respect that because I appreciate having friendships with similar communication as mine and with similar healing styles as mine. I never want somebody to take my breaks personally, and so I don't take hers personally. um and then I have another friend, like I said, who I feel like we have open communication with, but I don't always want to feel like I'm just like venting to this person, like I want us to just have a healthy relationship to where we can just express ourselves and just it is what it is and it's fine. But I just feel like sometimes I feel like I have like a pile up of vents, and that's my own personal shit I have to get over because she literally told me she has the capacity for my vents, but still. um so I realized though in this that what I think that I need more than like a listening ear is more so like a mentor. And I really don't think that I have that. Back in the day, I had a big sister, and I still consider her to be my big sister, but she has like a whole new life now. Like she has a baby, a beautiful baby boy. She has a husband. Like she just has a new life now. Um and so I think that I never necessarily found someone to fill those shoes as a mentor in my life when I got older. She was there for like a really great part of my life to where I really, really needed her. And then I have an older sister figure, who my mom and grandma adopted when I was younger, but she's married and has like a lot of stuff going on in her life as well. And so I just don't necessarily feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I just need someone in my life right now who can really be able to not focus on me because we are all grown and have to focus on ourselves, but just someone who can literally step into that mentorship role. I think that my big sister is my big sister, and we have the beautiful relationship that we have. We have the communication that we have, but I think it's also just hard. That's another one to like whose partner will just call when we're out. I remember one time we were watching Atlanta, the show on FX, because I was on it, and me and my mom were showing her that like I was about to have my cameo on it, and literally right when I was about to pop up on the screen, her wife called her. And I was like, are you fucking serious? And then she answered the call. And I was like, oh, okay. That's fine. But yeah, like, that's some things that make me so anti-relationship sometimes. Because I'm like, I would have declined, But yeah, situations like that, I don't know. I just know. Like, I need somebody in my life who may not have as many distractions in their life, if that makes sense. Like a single 35 to 45-year-old who is able to just really listen, and hear me out, and not necessarily have ties to any of the things or people or experiences that I'm speaking of, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you want to be my mentor or big sister and feel like you want to put in an application, I mean, I'd love for it to happen organically. I think that that's always the best. But I'm just putting it out into the universe and the ether, ether, my favorite word. That's what I'm looking for right now. And what's so crazy is I was looking for a partner, right? Like a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. No, I wasn't. Sorry, I had a hiccup. I lied. I was looking for intimacy, and I realized that I wasn't looking for like sexual intimacy. I was looking for intimacy in the space of feeling heard and connected with. And I mentioned this before, but even I thought I wanted physical, like cuddling and kissing. And no, I don't need that. I'm actually really okay without it. I really just need a listening ear and somebody who like really is like locked in. So yeah, and it takes a lot for me to ask for that. And like I said, I don't really know when I'll find that or how to get that organically and naturally, but I'm looking forward to the journey. And now that I've set it out there to want that, I think that the universe will bless me with it. On another motherfucking note, let's talk about how this company got me fucked up. I talked about this in the last couple of episodes, or not the last couple of episodes, maybe like 3 episodes ago. I'm gonna try to find the screenshot real fast. But yeah, so there was a company that stole my videos from me, racked up 40,000 plus views. People were commenting saying that they were going to buy the product that I was promoting for another company, a black owned company. Mind you, I get commission from every sale made for that product. So the fact that they had stolen my video, stolen my content, and then used it for their own sales and their own gain when I was not promoting their website, it's against the law. So I reached out to them several times, DM'd them, saw that they were literally ignoring my DMs, ignoring my emails, but were looking at my story, which was very fucking creepy to me. Still following me. I'm not following them. So I DM'd them again and I was like, if you do not reply, like I will have to do X, Y, and Z. So they finally replied and said, oh, hey, sorry, like, what is your question? Fucking scroll up and read the question. So I reiterate the question again, or not even the question, reiterate the statement in my terms again, for the compensation that I'm owed. And they literally reply and say, oh, there are no bloggers that have reached out to us saying this. Actually, you should be grateful that we reposted your videos and tagged you and got you subscribers. Yes, the fuck they did say that, y'all. They literally said I should be grateful that they stole my content. First of all, you don't even know terminology. You can't get subscribers on Instagram. So that's one. Two, you did please know that if anybody contributed to anybody's success, you have definitely gained some of my followers. I gained 0 followers from your post. I don't even know if I was tagged on the post. But yeah, I know that my link to get the commission for the other company wasn't there, and I know that I had a loss of profit and my content was stolen. So with that being said, I'm calling up motherfucking Olivia Pope. I don't even know if that's who I'm supposed to call. I might call Kim Kardashian. I'm calling some motherfucking body. Just kidding. I have a plan. But I still have that to say, yeah, it's going down. It's going fucking down. I'm not gonna say too much, but just know, don't fucking play with me and my money, and don't steal my shit and then tell me to be grateful that you stole my shit. Although normally I let karma handle it, this is the time where I really know for a fact, like, I am definitely in the right and they're definitely in the wrong. So that is where my focus will be for next month. I'll keep y'all posted. But content creators, like, just be fucking aware. We have rights. If you literally do the research, we have whole rights protecting us and protecting our content. So just make sure that you're taking the right steps to protect your content, as I have, and make sure that you're keeping receipts, because this is not the first time that a brand has stole a black woman's content and profited off of it. There's another girl on TikTok whose video I'm surprised went viral, because usually they stifle things like that. But a major brand, I don't even know who it is, I don't want to lie and say the wrong brand, but a major brand stole her content, and yeah, they had her fucked up. And they I can't remember what the outcome of that was, but I'm pretty sure that she ended up winning whatever fight that she put out there. So yeah, just know that it's a wrap. We've got some shit going on, and I'm excited to stand up for myself, for real, because you're not gonna steal from me. This is not fucking slavery. And I'm doing this for my ancestors. So this is not a black owned company that I am speaking of right now. So yeah, fuck that. All right, y'all, it's time for this portion of the podcast, which is called Broken Pussy, where I tell you about the time that I thought I broke my pussy. So tell me why last week I thought I broke my pussy. Because I had used a toy, and I haven't used a penetrative toy in a while, but I told you I went to Atlanta and I got all my toys. So I was really excited. And then ended up using it, and it was a great time. I think I probably orgasmed like 6-7 times with it. It was bomb. But then the next morning I woke up with like a terrible stomach ache, and this is literally the morning I was supposed to go to New York, and we're gonna talk about that trip as well. But ended up like having a really really bad like stomach morning, and then when I went to go like wipe, and this is like super TMI, but I don't give a fuck, this is my safe space, there was blood, but not from the back. That was the crazy part about it. Like, it was literally from the front. to the point where it was like a little bit, it's not even spotting, but it was like enough for me to be like, am I okay? So I went to go get like pads just in case I got my period, but my period wasn't supposed to come until 12 days later. So I thank God, like my stomach ended up calming down and ended up being able to go, because at one point I was like, I probably am gonna like have to miss my flight, and it was ridiculous. But yeah, so I ended up telling my mom, and I knew that I needed to go to an OBGYN at some point anyways. I already told y'all about my horrific experience in Atlanta in 2018, and quite frankly that was the last time I've been to an OBGYN. I've gotten tested in clinics and stuff like that, but like getting a full on exam, no, because shorty literally like fucking stuck her fingers inside of me, and that was off, and then made me smell her fingers, and then with like no lube or anything like that either, and then also like stuck a huge pap smear thing inside of me and gaslit me into getting a pap smear, for those of you who missed that story. So yeah, I was traumatized, to be honest with you, and she like really was going in on me about a lot of things. So now that I'm here in a different country, I figure the healthcare, is any fucking healthcare is better than goddamn United States. So I'm excited to find a holistic OBGYN down here and get some answers. And then I started, I'm a hypochondriac, so, and then like my vagina just hurt, like my vulva itself like hurt. So I'm gonna look back into that book, When Sex Hurts, and I still want to just read some like excerpts so that we can just learn more and more with each other. So I'm gonna take like 5 minutes now just to read an excerpt from the book, and we can learn something together. You can let me know if you have any questions. But I know I've gotten a lot of DMs about like painful sex and things of that sort. And there was even a girl who said that when she has sex, I talked about this in one of the last episodes, she gets like really nauseous. I feel like she's about to throw up. And the other day when I was masturbating, I felt a similar feeling. And I think it was when I was doing was I doing penetrative? I don't know. But when I go to the OBGYN, I want to talk to her about that, because I definitely can relate to that and get some answers. But I also just realized, there's like a standard that we set for our bodies, and we think that all bodies are alike. Just because somebody can take a bigger dick, or just because somebody likes pain, like that has to be all of our experiences. And I think that us using one person's blueprint as a blueprint for our whole sexual identity is very, very, very unhealthy. So there have been times where I've judged myself because I'm like, well, I don't like pain, like I don't like to hurt during sex, but people make it seem like it's good to like that. Like, okay, a slap on the ass is fine, but don't do it till it hurts, or like, I don't want violence in sex. And some people like that. Whenever I see people like choking people, I'm always like, why do you want to stop my airflow? Like, and I told y'all in a couple episodes ago why that's a trigger for me. But for some people it's sexy. For some people it might even be a trigger, but they're able to redefine their triggers. I'm not at this moment. So yeah, just trying to redefine like what sex is to me, but realizing like, wow, the more I learn about painful sex, the more I realize maybe something even with my vagina, but also with my partner, to where the combination, if I'm able to figure out both, sex can actually be pleasurable for me. That's what I learned when I had the experience with the young man with the smaller penis. Like, it wasn't hitting my cervix, therefore I was able to actually maneuver and have fun with it and try new things and try new positions and get on top. I wasn't able to get on top with larger penises because the leg penis dick ratio was just fucking me up. So anyways, with that being said, let's get to this book. So since we talked a bit about childhood trauma, I'm going to take an excerpt from the book that talks about the early seeds of your pain, where they discuss basically how what we feel in our vaginas and with our vulvas could have actually happened not as we were conceived, but more so within the cells. I'm just going to read it because what I'm about to say is not going to make sense. Okay. So this is from the book When Sex Hurts. It's a woman's guide to managing sexual pain, by 2 doctors and a psychiatrist. And I got this book from shopsador.com, and you can use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off. It says, the early seeds of your pain. Now we're going to take a step back and, oh wait, before I dive into this, sorry. In, I think, episode 3, it's titled something in painful sex. I list off like all of the different kinds of ways that your vagina can be affected, or certain conditions that you can have that have just kind of been introduced to people with vulvas, that could lead to why you're experiencing some type of pain or discomfort. All right, so just tune into that episode as well. But now we're going to take a step back and explore the development of your genitalia in utero by focusing on the embryology of your reproductive system. We think this discussion is very important because one of the most common causes of sexual pain in women is PVD. And one common cause of PVD is related to abnormal fetal development. That's right. The seeds of your pain may have been planted decades before you ever felt the first twinge. As you all know, as you know, not as you all. As you know, we all start from two cells, an egg and a sperm. Once they merge and the sperm has fertilized the egg, the resulting zygote begins dividing. Two cells become four, which become eight, which becomes 16, and so on. Although not always quite so mathematically neatly, by about day 4, you have a ball of about 100 cells with an inner cavity. At this point, the embryo begins differentiating into the placenta. Y'all, I promise this is going to get more interesting. It just sounds like a whole bunch of like doctor talk, but I swear like it's going to make sense. All right, so the fetal cells also begin differentiating into tissue with specific characteristics that will define their role throughout the lifespan. Each tissue is jammed with various receptors that will provide docking stations for the different hormones needed to direct the cell's activities. In addition, each tissue has its own blood and nerve supply. So, even if you have two tissue types right next to each other, like the vagina and the vestibule, they can have completely different hormone receptors, blood supplies, and nerves. At about week 5 post-contraception, a pair of genital ridges form near what will eventually turn into the kidneys. And this is so interesting to me because you know how they're always like, oh, it's a girl. And they're able to see like your genitalia so early. That's very interesting. Okay. A week later, the cells of the genital ridge invade what will be the future gonads, ovaries in a female, forming clumps of cells called primitive sex cords. In females, at about the 8th week, primitive tissue called the Mullerian ducts give rise to the internal and external genitalia. These ducts run down the sides of the ridge of the tissue called the urogenital ridge, which will eventually become the external genitalia. Oh, wow. The ducts eventually develop into the uterus, fallopian tubes, and upper part of the vagina, where they come into contact with tissue that will eventually form the back wall of the pelvis. A small swelling emerges, which eventually forms the hymen. Think of the hymen as a kind of fence, a dividing line between the tissue that composes the upper vagina, uterus, cervix, and fallopian tubes, and the tissue that composes the vulvar vestibule. The vestibular tissue has more in common cell-wise with the bladder and urethra than the vagina. That's interesting. And it is fed by different blood and nerve supplies. That's one reason why women with vestibular abnormalities often have urinary tract problems and vice versa. Both organs develop from the same primitive tissue. It says the tissue is not, however, related to the clitoris or labia. That's why women with PVD, I'll find out what that, I forgot what that stands for. Hold on, let me see. PVD is provoked vestibulonedia, and it says this syndrome used to be called vulvar vestibulonedia syndrome, and less commonly, vestibular. Buy the book and read it yourself, y'all. But PVD is not a single condition; rather, it constellates at least a dozen different conditions, resulting in pain originating from the entrance to the vagina, the vulvar vestibule. The most common cause of sexual pain is in premenopausal women. It is also one of the most difficult for doctors to diagnose or treat correctly. The most common causes of PVD are hormonal changes, tight pelvic floor muscles, and an increased number of nerve endings in the vestibule. In chapter 6, we show you how you and your doctor can figure out what the cause of your PVD is. So that's very helpful. But it reminds me, even like putting in tampons, like for me, literally, does sliding tampons in for y'all hurt? Because it hurts for me. Yo, send me an email at theloveatiyaexperience@gmail.com if using tampons hurts for you. Because even the other day, like sticking my finger in and trying to stick my tampon up, and then at one point it was just like hanging out. Because like I just couldn't. I just could not. But anyways, that's why women with PVD, which you'll read more about in chapter 6, can be touched in those areas without pain. But the slightest touch of a cotton... But the slightest touch of a cotton swab on their vestibule creates agony. That's me with the tampon. We are coming to recognize that some women have congenital, meaning from birth, defects that result in an overgrowth of nerve endings in the vestibular tissue. And because the belly button originates from the same tissue, they also have increased nerve endings and sensitivity there, y'all. My belly button is so sensitive and like feels so raw sometimes. Oh my god, in these women, pressure on the belly button results in pain. Ow, I just pressed on my belly button and it resulted in pain. Radiating down towards the vagina. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna put a pause on that. But I feel like we learned a lot just now. I love learning with y'all on here. And I'm gonna keep reading excerpts and saving excerpts from this book to read with y'all because I really think that this is very important. I also wonder, do people with penises have penile pain? I do wonder that sometimes. Like, is that like what do guys experience? Do guys listen to this podcast? If you're a man and you listen to this podcast, send me an email at iloveatiyaexperience.com. But yeah, I think that these conversations are very, very, very important. I look, you want to read something else? Do you want me to read something else? I wish that this was like a live studio audience. So you can tell me like, yeah, read us more. Now it's time to educate you about a sex toy that you can use that will not break your pussy. And that is from my favorite sex toy shop, shopsadora.com. It is a black-owned, women-owned sex toy shop. And the toy shout-out of the day is going to be the Vibe Pad 2. Now, I've mentioned this before, but this is just a gentle reminder. If you don't have one, what the fuck are you doing? First of all, I think that this toy is amazing because I rode on it and I squirted and was like really, 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 really wet. I could not believe it. Someone had said that they had a complaint because they felt like the tongue. So it's like a hump and then a tongue, and then it also all heats up. Somebody said they felt like the tongue wasn't big enough. I don't know. I feel like I have a fairly fat punani, and that tongue hit all the right places. Like it was a very intentional stimulation, but without an overstimulation, if that made sense. And you can of course change the settings and stuff like that. So to each its own, but I personally felt like it's one of my favorite sex toys. And again, it makes me just get in a different position. Sometimes I get tired of being on my back. I know somebody said you can go on all fours, and that's like something to try when you're masturbating, but I just like the fact that I have to literally ride it, and I think that it's just something very sexy to me about being on top and riding a toy, riding somebody, pick your poison. So yeah, Vibe Pad 2. I have some pictures of it on my Instagram somewhere, but you can use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off. 10 out of 10 recommend, especially if you're like just want to switch up your masturbation routine. I don't know, it's just brought new life to my masturbation. And like I said, it's not penetrative, so I have no worries when it comes to like having to grow on it, if that makes sense, or having it have to grow on me. I think that I just automatically just feel comfortable with it because it's literally, it like fits my vulva, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, shout outs to the makers of VibePad and VibePad 2. 10 out of 10 recommend, shopsadora.com. Now, before I get into this last story of the episode, I did just want to touch on the fact that connecting is so different nowadays, and I actually understand why people don't necessarily want to evolve because it's a lot. And I realize now that I am really at that portion of my life, of my evolution, where it's like that isolation portion. I feel so bad because as much as I say, I have friends and I'm making connections out here after moving, etc., etc., I still feel like I don't necessarily have the capacity. And I keep saying like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to come back, or like tomorrow I'm going to reply, or whatever the case may be. And thankfully, the people in my life are not taking it personal, but I just think that I'm at this weird stage of like wanting to connect, but also not having the capacity. I don't really know how to explain it. And so if anybody else can relate, let me know. Maybe it's just a part of like doing my shadow work and stuff. But even like in the story I'm about to tell you about, like just connecting or not connecting, or just like sexuality as a whole, it's like I met a guy, like he talked great game, but the connection aspect of it felt so false and so temporary. Although there were parts where like I actually did feel like
cared about, but it's like, how can you necessarily care about me in that way if you've only known me for like less than 48 hours, less than a full 48 hours. So I think that even back in the day, and I mentioned this before, like pseudo connections would really get me off, and now that doesn't get me off anymore. Like it doesn't feel the same way. I used to be able to get off on fake care, fake love, fake connection, and now I just feel like I can see right through it, and it's just not even fulfilling. Like, I used to want people to fake it, and now I'm like, nah, actually, just don't give it to me at all. Like, I don't know, it's very interesting. So yeah, I'm super grateful for the story I'm about to tell y'all. This is a doozy. But just wanted to share that thought. Even in my celibacy, like, I don't know, I just feel like after my birthday, it's just a whole new chapter, and I don't know what to do about it. Like, I wanna wild out and have fun, but at the same time, when I look at people around me who are doing that, I'm like, is that really what I want to do? Like, I've been there, I've done that, and was not fulfilled by it. I was actually very fairly distracted from it. It's a lot that I need to focus on now. So I don't know. I love having stories. I love having YOLO moments. I love sharing shit with y'all, but this has just been like a really eye-opening experience. So anyways, let's just dive into the story. All right, so y'all already know I absolutely love sharing my stories with you all. And as I've been celibate, I've been having to reflect on a lot of older stories, and the craziest part is that I actually still have more stories to share. But this one is so recent, and I feel like I'm probably never going to talk to or see this guy again. So I was debating if I wanted to share it. Honestly, I really want to come up with like a membership program, because there's just some shit that I want to share, but I feel like the whole world shouldn't have access to it. So I'm going to take it easy with the amount of details that I give, but just know I have a lot of extra tea to give. I'm going to figure out a way to share this to like my like top prime number one listeners. All right. So stay tuned for that. But as you know, like I mentioned before, I moved abroad. I've been going outside more, just trying to meet new people and shit like that. Now this story is going to have a two-parter. So the first part is going to be about how this bitch really tried to play me. And then there's going to be another part where we talk about how I literally was almost not celibate anymore. And thank the fucking Lord, my vulva set me up correctly. And stay tuned to learn why. All right, so first things first, as you know, like I mentioned earlier in this episode and a couple of previous episodes, I moved abroad, right? And so one thing that I felt when I first moved here was that there was like a lack of community for me. Now, there's a huge Black community here. And so I just felt so isolated. I wasn't really understanding why I didn't feel like accepted, The very first event that I went to, I felt like nobody was even like speaking to me. I felt like I would smile at people, they wouldn't smile back. And it was like an event where there were like a lot of Black people around me. So I just feel like this place that I live has this reputation. When I was looking it up, like, oh, everybody here is so welcoming, all the Black people here are so friendly, but a majority of the friends that I had made here thus far have been from Mexico and of Mexican descent, and I just, for whatever reason, wasn't really clicking with certain people in the Black community. So I decided to really open my heart and just like commit, like when I go to these events, I don't have to have my headphones in, I can be a little bit more open. And like I said, I was just feeling away because I just didn't feel like people necessarily were open towards me. But I said, let me just fucking try. Let me just go out. The first day that I officially went out and like wasn't isolating myself and wasn't sitting away from the groups and kind of like sat with the Black people, that's when people started conversing with me and like getting to know me, and I really appreciated that. And then I actually saw somebody who was from Atlanta, and around the time that she had announced that she was going to move to where I live, I had already been like working on my move here. So it was so nice to know that like, oh shit, like there really is a movement happening of Black women moving down to where I'm living right now. So I ended up seeing her at this event, and I feel like that was kind of the beginning of the end when it came to like me like being outside. Like that was the beginning, I should say, not the beginning of the end, but I feel like she really introduced me to people who were throwing events here, who were throwing parties, and who knew other people here. And I just felt like, okay, like this is what I wanted. Like I wanted to be outside, I wanted to feel accepted, and I feel like I finally met people who really accepted me and hyped me up. And me, I try so hard because back in the day I used to call everybody my friend and think everybody fucked with me. And so even moving here, I had to remember, especially after the last traumatic experience I had in Atlanta, where I haven't even shared that shit with y'all, but just know September, it is story motherfucking time. I have so many stories for y'all. But I think that my last experience with friendship in Atlanta low-key traumatized me. So coming here, my heart was open, but it was like I'm not gonna just think that everybody has my best interest at heart. So it's nice being around people that I feel like I can practice just feeling like I'm at least safe around, you know, and like I said, I just want to feel accepted. So I felt like I had found those people and I was really grateful for that. So I've been going out to events, you know, been outside ever since. I feel like every other weekend I've been outside. Now, before I get to how this girl was not being a girl's girl, I just want to make sure that I clarify that where I live, the picking of black men, like single black men, is relatively slim, especially like my age. And when that happens, there's a lot of like, I don't want to say crossbreeding. Like it's like just a lot of mixing, if you get what I'm saying. And so when there's like, when you do find like a black man that is your age, you know, it's not a competition because I will never compete with a woman for a man, but it just seems like there's this like energy. I remember in one of the group chats that I'm in, one of the newer girls had commented and was like, "Hey, like where can we find the black men?" And then people were like, "Oh, like here," you know, like, and it just seemed like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going there to find the black men," but it's like, right, but if 90 black women go to this spot where there are like 3 black men, then what's the ratio is just off, you know? So with that being said, I just wanted to make sure it was clear that like it's just this weird competitive energy sometimes when it comes to like these guys. The other thing about it is that a lot of the black men that I do meet are not from here. They're just visiting here on vacation or whatever the case may be, and then they're going back home. So the girl that I told y'all about that I met in ATL, she put me on. She really did. Like she gave me the full on scoop and was like don't get tied up with these like transient men, you know, like don't think, oh, this is the one. You know, they're really here for vacation. And I think that if you remember episode, I think it's like 6, 7, and 8 or some shit, about when I had gone to Mexico and I had like fallen in love low-key, I think that just taught me about like vacation flings. And like when people travel abroad, they're not looking for a girl, they're looking for some fucking sex, and then that's it. So with that being said, I went out Saturday night and I had a blast. I had a really great time. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see I was twerking. Everybody was clapping me up in a circle. I really appreciated that because when I twerk, I really be thinking that my ass is moving and it's not really moving the way that I think it is, but it's okay. Anyways, people live in my delusion with me and I love that for us. So the next day though, apparently like there had been like an after party and stuff like that that people had gone to. So they had all like kind of mixed and mingled. Like I said, pickings are slim. So I think that once guys kind of click up with girls, like that's their girl for the trip, if that makes sense. Because like dating nowadays is not easy. So when you find your person, I feel like it makes sense why you'd want, instead of going and mixing and mingling around the way that we used to back in the day, like on spring break. Okay, I met this guy one night, I'll go meet up with another guy the next night. Like that's how spring breakish was. But I think when you're older and like I said, it's slim pickings, you just kind of find your person, you stick with them, and you have fun with them. It's safer, etc., etc. And like who feels like reconnecting with multiple people? Some people like that. I don't. Anyways, I went out to this party the next day, Sunday. Like I said, it was a day party. And I saw the guys from the club that night. So I was like, lit. So I ended up sitting near them, mostly because there was an umbrella over there and I didn't want to be sitting out in the sun. So I sat near the umbrella. But they were real cool. And eventually I remember I had heard one of the guys that lives here say to one of the guys that was visiting, like, oh, where's your girl? And he was like, oh, she like overslept, but she's coming or whatever. She's like recovering from last night. So me and the guy that was sitting next to me though, like he was mad fucking cool. I feel like he was supposed to relatively be what everybody thinks my type is, like tall, light skin, he had freckles, etc., etc. But he wasn't. Like I don't know, he was just a cool guy. But then this girl, she ended up coming and I had left and I had asked him to watch my seat because people were like looking for chairs and shit. So he gave me his backpack. So I put the backpack on my chair, and then I had like mad drinks delivered to my area because my bartender, he wasn't moving fast enough for me. I really appreciated him, but he was overwhelmed, and I understood. And I was a bartender, so I just got up and got my fucking drink myself. Mind you, that night I had 5 shots, a mezcalina, another mezcalina, and a margarita. I didn't finish the second mezcalina and a margarita, and some sips of mezcal from other drinks here and there, like that I had ordered. So I was literally not physically like on Earth. Like, I was like physically I was on Earth, but mentally I was like in Jupiter. So I get back to this chair, and I'm like. So the girl was sitting on the bench now, like I guess his girl, quote unquote. Now I had seen this girl in the group chats here. So I was like, oh, so I sat down first and I was like, thanks so much. I gave him back his bag, and then he was like, yo, you got mad drinks down. I was like, are they good? Like, did you watch them or whatever? Now, rule of motherfucking thumb. And I'm telling y'all, didn't I say that I posted on my Instagram story and I said I want to do something stupid tonight? That fucking stupid. I don't give a fuck if I've known you for a day. I don't give a fuck if I've known you for a week. I don't know. I just saw this video of this girl getting roofied. And she caught it in the act, so she luckily didn't get roofied. And then I saw this other show where this girl got roofied and she didn't catch it, and she literally like was really down bad. So I think that just for like a learning purpose, I think that one thing I wouldn't do again is like let somebody else watch my drinks. Thank the fucking God, like I didn't get roofied, and that was just by the grace of God. Nobody was paying that much. Like Shorty wasn't sitting there hovering over my drinks. Like if you ever ask somebody to watch a drink for you, for me, I say have them hold that shit in their hand, cover the drink, and make sure that you've known them for more than 24 hours. So if we're being honest about lapses of judgment, thanks to the fact that I like live to talk about it, I'd like to just share that with my listeners. Like, if you're going to have somebody watch your drink, definitely give it to them to hold, and have them cover it. Because if you just leave it on the table, anybody can come by and dump some shit in there. It was a lot of people up there, but luckily, I didn't get roofied. Nothing happened to my drinks, but still. So anyways, I was like, yo, are my drinks good? And he was like, yeah, they're good. So, homegirl that was sitting on the chair with him was like looking away. But you know how somebody can look away and they're looking away mad intently to the point where you know that they're just not fucking with you, but they're trying to listen to what you're talking about in the conversation. Come on, like I've been there. I get it. So I'm like, okay, if this is her guy, like let me just make sure that she knows I'm not a threat, girl. You don't gotta worry about me. Believe me. I'm like 80% gay anyway. So I was like, hey, your name's so-and-so, right? Because I had seen her in the chats. And I remember thinking like, oh, there's a girl that like lives here that is my age and she looks cool. Why homegirl ignored me? Homegirl literally ignored me. So he was like, yeah, that's her name. And then he like snapped to her like, yo. And then she was like, what? And then I was like, oh, I was asking like your name's so-and-so, right? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, so I was caught off guard by her lack of friendliness because everybody else that I had met that day, the day before, had been hella cool. So I was like, oh, like I see you in the group chats all the time. I was like, I figured that we'd meet at some point. And then she literally didn't say anything. Like, I know I was lit, but I know for a fact I think I might have even started laughing. And then I just like looked away and was just like jamming the music or whatever. And then she started talking to him, and then she got up and was ignoring him mad hard. And then he came over to me and introduced himself and shit and was like, yo, come to our after party. Like literally showed me the address, etc., etc. I was like, what the fuck is happening? But I just, and like ever, like for the rest of the night, like me and that girl did not speak at all. But it's just so funny to me when people could decide to like have attitudes or whatever about literally nothing. Like there was no reason for that. So it'll be super interesting, like to see, I guess, where, like, I'm sure I'll see her out again. But for me, like, I can't take stuff like that personally because I've been there before. There have been girls who I know have like been friends. Now, granted, I know that, well, I don't know her, so I can't say that she didn't know this guy, but I'm 99.7% sure that she had just met him. And granted, like, if I was in a different place, I probably would have, like, if I was in a different place, maybe I would have been more wild and free that night. And like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even fuck on my trip, like when I went away and met the guy that like I was madly in love with. So I don't know, but I'm just saying that everybody moves differently. So maybe they had some moments and she just got territorial over him. I really don't know, but I know that he felt the weird energy. So this is just like a PSA for women. Like, it's 2023. We don't have to do that anymore. Like, if you think that a guy is interested in a girl, don't take it out on the fucking girl. And if the girl is being kind to you and trying to make it clear that like she's not, because I know that girls can be sneaky too. So sometimes women can try to buddy up with somebody because they think like, oh, if I'm cool with you, then you won't be all that perturbed when I steal your nigga. But I'm not that girl. But then I have to remember I'm a bad bitch, and especially since cutting my hair, I really see it now. So I understand, but you know, it just caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, that was nasty. So anyways, fast forward, I ended up getting another guy's number, and he had invited me to the same after party. I didn't end up going, but I was like, yo, come to this club because like I want to dance with you. why did I then go on a whole fucking adventure through downtown trying to find some vegan food? First of all, when I tell you, I don't even know how I got from point A to point B because I was so lit, but I knew that if I didn't get water immediately, and if I didn't get food, it was not gonna end well. So I stopped at like 7-Eleven, and I got two Avion waters because I just knew that I just need to hydrate. So I downed one, had another one, I was good. And then I was also walking around with a random can of beer that I later ended up giving to a homeless man on the street who was like doing like street performances, and he seemed really grateful for that. Like, it was the most random night. And then I ended up going to this restaurant, and I guess I got like potato tacos from what I can remember. But it was literally just like mashed potato in a fucking like hard shell rolled taco. It was, I don't even know how much I spent on it. I think I spent like fucking $6 on it. Like, it made no sense, but I mean, shit, it helped me not have a hangover, so I was grateful. And then I remember like my waiter kept apologizing because he almost spilled sauce on me, but like it wasn't his fault. And then I don't know, he was just like really nice. So anyways, but I told y'all like I got gypped at the club the other day, so I was like being extra on it when it came to, one, not buying drinks from that club specifically, and two, making sure that I checked my bills no matter how lit I was. Like, I had to really fucking focus. So anyways, ended up going back to the club. I didn't even tell y'all, then I had a boyfriend. I'm literally, okay, so this bartender, he was bringing me drinks, etc., etc., and then he was like, you my girlfriend, you mean novia, etc., etc., and I was like, and at this point I was fucking lit, so I was like, yeah, me novio, this, that, and the there, but I was really trying to get like water too, because I was like, how much is water? And he was like, 160 pesos. 160? What? That's like fucking $8 for a goddamn bottle of water. So, not doing that. And so I was like, yo, if you were really my boyfriend, like, you would care about me being hydrated. So then I remember like throughout the night he was bringing me cups of water, and I thought that was really sweet. And then so I said to him, I paid 60 pesos for a fucking straw here. So I said to him, can you bring me my straw? Because I left the straw. I left the straw, and I was really like, I really spent like $4 on that shit. So can you bring it to me? And then I thought I left my glasses, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna go home and get showered, and I'll come pick you up on my motorcycle. I said, I'm not getting on your motorcycle. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. He gets showered, meets me at the club, and is like, okay, you ready to go? I said, I told you I'm not going on the motorcycle. And he's like, no, you said you were. I showed him in the motherfucking text. I said, no, it says right here, I am not going on your motorcycle. He said, I thought we could go to the house, we could smoke, we could drink. No. I must look like I was born on Tuesday, and it's Tuesday. So I said, no, but where's my straw? And he was like, oh, my boss, I said, you came all this way and didn't even bring my straw? He's like, yeah, I'll bring you your straw and your glasses, and then we could smoke this. I said, no. I said, first of all, my glasses were on my head this whole time, and I just didn't know it. So that's one. Long story short, I'm not getting my fucking straw. I'm just going to buy a pack of straws from Amazon and call it a day, because I realize that straws are obviously bad for the environment. Not everybody has paper straws. So I'm just going to buy my metal ones and keep them on me. It's fine. At least I have the little syringe part that cleans out the straw. I kept that, but yeah. So anyways, get back to the club. The guy that I had texted ended up coming, and then we basically like danced the night away. The one part that I will share is like, there was this one part where I remember we had Googled Nicki Minaj's nipples, because he had like looked at my top, and I was like, this boy told me that I have Nicki Minaj nipples, and he was like, what is Nicki Minaj? How you know what Nicki Minaj's nipples are? I was like, you never seen Nicki Minaj's nipples? So then I literally show him like Nicki Minaj's nipples. She was like, nah, you don't. Your nipples are better. And I'm like, thanks. But women empowering women, all nipples are valid. So anyways, yeah, he looked at, and then we had like a really passionate moment in the club. Oh, and then there was a part, well, this is like TMI. Okay, so this is the part where God saved me, right? So I got my period on Saturday. I think I mentioned that before. I had to change my tampon. And so I'd asked one of the people that I met here if he could like watch the bathroom, because the bathroom didn't have a door. Like, one of the bathrooms was locked from the inside and was broken, and then the other bathroom stall like didn't have a door. I'm like, so I would rather someone not come in here and see me ripping out my tampon. So I ended up asking him to watch the door. Okay, so he watched it, and then this girl ended up coming in, and I'm like, I thought you were watching the fucking door. But she, like, had just caught it, like, right after I stuck it in there, so we were good. Probably looked like I was fingering myself now that I think about it, but no. And then, he was still sitting by the door and, like, gave me a thumbs up afterwards. I'm like, you know, you're great. Like, I really do appreciate that, because, like, that could have went really wrong. So I'm really grateful for him. But I still had to say that I was my period. So it's very clear that this guy, had really wanted to do the do. And, yeah, I didn't like. Okay, so remember last week I told y'all I have a new rule. Unless I decide that I want to fuck this person, um, before I'm drunk, then we can fuck. But if I make the decision to fuck while I'm drunk, it's no fuck it's no YOLOs, it's no shit. We're not doing that. So, I will say though, this was like practice for me, because come on, y'all, I'm a year and a half into celibacy. Imagine I would have fucking had sex with this nigga, and then like say he does the typical like travel shit and like ghost me right afterwards, or like talk to me for a week and then that's it. Oh my god. So I'm so grateful for my period, because like at one point he was like, oh, I really want to fuck you so bad right now, and I was like, I got some bad news for you, my brother. And then he was like, oh, don't tell me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I wasn't sorry. And what's crazy about it is like, I also know I was tripping because he's not necessarily my type, and I gotta stop this shit. Just because somebody is tall doesn't mean they're for me. I have to stop. Atiya, stop it. Stop. So he was like fucking 6'3", 6'4". All I know is I had to break my neck to look at him, and I love shit like that. But yeah, like when I would take off my sunglasses and I would like really see his face, he was a handsome guy, don't get me wrong. But was he necessarily my type? No. So I feel like I had to find things that were like endearing to him about me. But there have also been times where like I've like been with guys and then I've had to like imagine that I'm with somebody else, and I didn't have to do that with him. Maybe because I had my glasses on and I was so lit. So, but I said this, like, I feel like I can say this because he's even had me on social media, and I don't think that we're ever gonna talk again. But I also had to give myself the ick. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. Like this is a pro fucking tip. If you ever see a guy or whatever, and you like feel like you might just be a little bit like, damn, what if, or ... go find them on social media. Call me a motherfucking investigative gadget, because bitch, I was searching. I was like a motherfucking FBI agent on Instagram. I found his page, and then the more I learned, like the more I just looked at his life, etc., I was like, okay, I'm good. Nothing in particular was like, ugh, you know? But then when I just thought about it, like, guys can look very different on vacation versus how they look IRL. Does that make sense? Like, in their actual hometown. Something about traveling can make a guy extra cute. And I don't know if anybody has peeped that before. So I had to give myself the ick, and I'm grateful for that. Again, sure he's a great guy. I mean, great. I'm also grateful because he literally stopped replying to me, and I fucking knew it. Like, it was no love connection, so I was fine. But I'm just like, yo, imagine if we really would have had sex or some shit. Like, that shit would have been crazy. There's definitely like more to tell, but I want to say that for like my love bug specifically. So yeah, I'm gonna be percolating. You know, we're about to have our 1 year anniversary for this podcast, and my cheeks hurt talking about it because it just makes me so proud. So I'm gonna, like I said, come up with some type of membership service or something like that, to be able to share some more intimate details with y'all. But just know I had a motherfucking time. I think I woke up with a little bit of a hangover that next day, but I just feel like it's been taking me so long to like recalibrate and just get my shit together. But yeah, that's my story of how like this girl was not a girl's girl, and how this guy like really could have fucked me up, especially like I said. Also, another thing I learned is, as much as I was on my period, the real thing is like, I've been celibate for a year and a half, sir, so we're not gonna have sex because of that. So yeah, I feel like that I just want to practice like, and I'm proud of myself for practicing restraint, but I really want to practice like pure brutal honesty, like asking for what I want, asking for what I need. For instance, like when I was in the club, I fucking wanted water, and I said something to him like, well, I'm mad dehydrated, and he was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, nigga, buy me water. I should have said like, nigga, buy me water. Granted, I could buy myself water, but like I said, I was boycotting buying shit in that club since I got scammed. So Yeah, little things like that, like asking for what I want. If you can ask me to fuck, I can ask you to buy me a bottle of water. You know, like fuck it. Like, what do I have to lose? I'm never gonna see him again. So, and then also, I think another rule of thumb is remembering that shit. Like, we're never gonna see these people again, no matter how deep it might seem. I've been there, done that on these trips, met guys, never talked to them again. So, like on my own trip. So yeah, just keeping that in mind as well is really helpful. These are just like random things I learned. Expressing my celibacy, because you know, another thing about it though is I also feel like it's almost like when you tell somebody you're a virgin and they think like, oh, this is a chance for me to fucking like try to be the one, you know. It's like, no, imagine I fucking end my celibacy for you and then you never talk to me again. This shit is so fucking crazy. So anyways, that's the story of how I had a wild night. And now that I vocalized it and didn't like share everything with y'all, I realized like this doesn't sound as like amazing. Not amazing, but it doesn't sound as crazy as I thought it did. But like if y'all really fucking knew the details, if you knew every single detail, oh my god, just know. So yeah, like Patreon coming soon or some shit. I don't fucking know, but we definitely have to do something to bro. I can tell you everything because I have so much to say, and I might even do that shit on video so you can see my face when I tell you, because I need to give like facial expressions and everything. Okay. Oh. Okay. I'm like, can I? Is there anything else I can share publicly? No. No. All y'all get is that he saw my nipples in the club. God, I want to tell you something else though. No, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. All right, I'm gonna tell you. No, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. No. We're gonna save it for the motherfucking membership page because I have to have restraint. I have to practice keeping shit to myself. You know me, I'm the queen of oversharing.
Okay, wait, another add-on, and then I have another add-on after this. But then there was a part where like we were outside, and then he was like, "Yo, I'm ready. I let's just fucking put down a towel." And I was like that low key gave me the ick too, because I was like, ew, like you just met me and you will fuck me on my period. Like, I don't know. There's nothing gross or disgusting about being on your period, okay? It's a very beautiful thing, but like, and then also like, and then it's just the fact that you don't know me. Like, it took me 3 fucking years to have period sex with my own boyfriend. And that was after we broke up, and I literally told myself never the fuck again. First of all, why are we fucking after we broke up? Second of all, I didn't even want to have sex with him. Like, that was it just brings back memories, gives me the total ick. I was so uncomfortable. That's a story for a different day with my ex. But with this guy, like, you were really gonna fuck me on my period? You just met me? And then also, I said, like, no, because, like, that's some magical shit. Like, you can dead ass, like, start a fucking soul tie. You could, like, do spells and shit. Like, it's a lot that can go on when you have sex with somebody on their period. Like, it's a very, very, intense experience that goes beyond just fucking. So yeah, I thought that was very fucking that was a tell for me.
Oh, I do want to add though that one thing that I did appreciate, and this is like so fucking minute, which is another thing it just taught me. Like, really, we are shooting for way beyond the bare minimum at this point. And it's like a gentle reminder to myself, is that like in this situation, no meant no, and I really appreciated that, because one thing about me is if I have to convince you that no means no, when I tell you I'm gonna cut your fucking throat, like at this point, the anger that I have in me, I'm working on it, but I can no longer go through like experiences of being unheard and manipulated and abused and assaulted. So if you don't take my first no as a no, then it's a wrap. Like, it's just done. So I appreciated the fact that he did try to push it a little bit. Sometimes he'd be like, oh, you know, can you do this, that, and the third? And I'm like, no. And then he was like, no. And I was like, and he was like, okay. And then we just moved on. Like, I love shit like that. Like, everybody should take accountability of that. Everybody should do that. I also appreciate the fact that when his friend was going to leave the club, I was like, you don't want to leave with him? This is like after I told him that we weren't going to have sex. I was like, you don't want to leave with him? And he was like, no. He was like, because then you'll be by yourself, like having to go catch a cab alone. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, thanks. So he ended up waiting for me to catch a cab, etc. But like I said, I learned a lot. I'm really grateful for this experience, and I'm excited for the next test. I'm so scared to put that out. I'm like scared to put that out there, but I am excited for the next test. And then, you know, I struggle because another part of me is like, Life's so short. So if I temporarily connect with a guy and I want to have sex and I feel like it'll be a great sexual experience, then why not? And I feel like that then circulates back to, well, why am I on the celibacy journey? I'm really on the celibacy journey to protect myself because I'm so tired of having inconsistent, horrible situations with the man sexually, to where I just stopped. Like, I just literally stopped, especially like considering the fact that I require people to get tested. Like, that's another thing that got me on this journey. Like, sexual health, like the fact that people don't care about their sexual health, because when I want to have sex with them and I'd ask them to get tested, they wouldn't want to get tested. So things like that. I think also the fact that I actually need aftercare. And for me, my aftercare goes beyond the bedroom. Like, I want aftercare in the sense of, yes, cuddle, like make me feel safe, like bring me water, like let's order food, etc., etc. Like, that makes me feel really good and cared for. But then I need the consistency afterward. I'm not trying to just have sex with somebody, share that part with myself with somebody, and then just go. So that's the hard part about it, is like, yes, I have this carnal instinct and this desire to want to have sex. And yes, it's so intriguing to have a temporary romance on an island. But at the same time, it's like, has that worked for my soul before? Like, now that we're really connected, like, has that really worked for me? No, it hasn't. So, but the thing about it is that you never know. Like, you never know if you have sex with somebody, if they're gonna fucking talk to you. It's like me and my one night stand, like, the guy from the Navy. Like, I to this day am still like, damn, he was amazing. But like, we're never gonna fuck around again. I'm never gonna see that man again. So, but the fact that it impacted me in that way, people have one night stands all the time. I had one when I was like 17. We didn't have sex, but he ate me out. Maybe it was because he ate me out so badly that I just literally didn't care about him anymore. So it was easy to let that one go. But I don't know. I just feel like situations, I've learned so much throughout my life that I feel like, even no matter how tempted and how extremely horny I am, even that night, yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm just making like the clearest choices and making the clearest decisions. And once again, the whole boundary of not agreeing to have sex when I'm drunk is very helpful, and will be very helpful for me, because like I said, when I came to my senses and really saw him, I was like, I don't actually think that I want to do that. And it's literally no offense to him. Like I said, it was just one of those moments of like, oh, we're just gonna wing it, we're just gonna YOLO, I'm just gonna be delusional. And sometimes being delusional is not the solutional. Being delulu is not the solu all the time. Only maybe 75% of the time, let's be honest. So anyways, I had so much fun making this episode. If you're not signed up for my Pleasure Positive email list, please be sure to do that, because I may have some special perks for y'all. It's my birthday month. My birthday is literally going to be on the day that I drop the next episode. So I'm super excited about that. Yo, cash at me. My cash app now. Like, deadass cash at me. I'm about to put my cash app somewhere. Or like, send me money. Send me money on Instagram. Can you do that? Can you send money on Instagram? Send me money. Send me pesos. Mwah. Estendo. Mwah. I carry bitches like they prego. What, what? If you love plant medicine, don't forget to support this Black-owned business whom I love, Heaven High NYC. They have delicious, delectable edibles. They have actual weed, psilocybin, every fucking thing that you need that you can trust. We need these things from a trusted source, y'all. Like, for real, you cannot just be buying plant medicine from anybody. This is literally a truly legit, reliable business. So be sure to mention that you heard about Heaven High from iloveatiya. You go on their website, heavenhighnyc.com, and you sign up for their menu. It will be sent to you immediately. Place your order. Thank me later. And then if you love a handcrafted jewelry, be sure to check out imanijewelry.com, and you can use the code LOVEATIYA to get 10% off your purchase. And don't forget, everything is handmade, literally by one Black woman. So there's extra love being put into these products. And if you love my jewelry that you've seen on social media, then you will definitely love everything that Imani Jewelry has to offer, because that's my primary source of jewelry. And once again, if you love sex toys and need shipping to be very extremely discreet, and like have your shit sent to your house or wherever you live, and I highly recommend shopsadora.com. Again, Black owned business, because we love Black owned businesses. And you could use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off of your purchase. And don't forget, I do shout outs for certain toys in every single email blast that I do, that I send out from my Pleasure Positive email. So loveatiya.com/sign up. And then you get the coupon codes there as well, and the recommended toy suggestions from Shopsador. I love y'all so much. This was a great episode. Like, I've had so much fun. And I hope that you have the best week. Stay tuned for my birthday episode, because this one is definitely going to be super, super duper extra, extra epic. I'm going to feature my mom on that episode, so I cannot wait. We're going to talk about everything under the fucking sun. So that should be really amazing. And I can't wait. So yes, I love you. Give yourself a hug for me. Oh, yes. And happy, happy, happy birthday again to my grandma, whose birthday was on the 10th. My beautiful Leo, Leo, Leo angel. I love you so much. And yay, this episode is dedicated to you. Mwah.